Hello and welcome to Network Africa. I'm Temitope Fagbemi. Coming up on today's program, Nigeria's security forces arrest 2 Boko Haram members in Geidam, Yobe State. South Africa's Justice Department says it is considering intervening to prevent Oscar Pistorius' early release from prison. And the United Nations vows to investigate allegations of abuse by peacekeepers in the Central African Republic. The Nigerian Army says troops have arrested 2 fleeing key members of Boko Haram terrorists in Geidam, Yobe State, northeast Nigeria, and are currently being interrogated. Spokesman of the Nigerian Army, Colonel Sani Usman, made this disclosure in a statement where he added that 2 pickup vehicles were also seized from the fleeing insurgents. He also revealed that following reports and distress calls about suspected movements and planned attack by Boko Haram terrorists around Damasak area, the Nigerian Air Force is conducting air surveillance and armed reconnaissance in the area. He reiterated that the stories making the rounds of an alleged massacre and drowning of over 100 civilians in Kukuwa Gari Gujuba local government area of Yobe State cannot be verified. The Army spokesman gave the assurance that the troops are fully committed to the fight against Boko Haram terrorists and ensuring security for law-abiding citizens in the troubled area. Now, to further discuss this, with me is Dr. Femi Adegulu. He's a security expert. You're welcome to Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the Nigerian Army says they've arrested 2 fleeing members of Boko Haram. And looking at past antecedents where some have been arrested and released, some high profile, how confident are you that these men will be prosecuted and punished?
I'm very confident because in the first place, the person who is at the driving seat now, President Muhammadu Buhari, actually came with a promise during the campaign that he was going to see to the end of Boko Haram in Nigeria. And ever since, we have seen some positive steps that have been taken in that direction. Don't forget also that it was because his predecessor was actually pussyfooting about the issue relating to arresting some members of Boko Haram and those who are aiding and abetting, and nothing happened. That was why some of the Western countries, particularly USA, backed out from actually helping us because they just discovered that the people they were going to help were not even themselves serious. So I don't think the current president, Muhammadu Buhari, will make that mistake. Besides, no, he knows, and he is also reading the body language of the international community. So if he actually desires the help and assistance from the international community, he himself has to be very serious. And a way of being serious is making sure that anybody that is apprehended, maybe as a member or aiding and abetting or financing one way or the other, should not be given a slap on the wrist.
Now, Nigeria is collaborating with its neighbors, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon to fight Boko Haram. How successful has this joint effort been so far?
Well, I think so far so good. You see, don't forget that JTF all over the world has its own drawback because, you know, you are pulling troops from so many countries who have different allegiance to different governments and all that. So you need the same commitment that Nigeria has. When all of them have the same commitment, we'll actually see to the end of Boko Haram in the sub-region. But you see, if it's only Nigeria that is actually pushing and others have not actually seen the reason why they should be as committed as Nigeria, we may be having problems. But so far, I would say, well, I think we are heading somewhere. I think it's the right step in the right direction our president is taking right now. But it might not have yielded the kind of fruit we expect of it. You know, it's just beginning. But so many loopholes have to be plugged. Because some of us, we have said time without number, that government should place premium on anti-terrorism, the same way he's placing premium on counter-terrorism. The two are not the same. Okay, when you mobilize troops and guns and bomb with a view to making sure that you kill or destroy Boko Haram, that's counter. But when we're talking about anti, that's very, very important too. That is ultimately preventing them from actually seizing territory and coming to perpetrate mayhem, detecting them before they come at all.
Okay. Now, Dr. Adegbolu, the Chadian president says Boko Haram has a new leader who is open to negotiation, a claim Abubakar Shekau has disputed. But do you agree that the federal government should negotiate with Boko Haram?
That's where the real problem is, because I've always said, and I've said several times, that which of the Boko Haram will you want to negotiate with? You see, because Boko Haram is no longer the homegrown terrorists that we used to know, which was not, the tide was not stemmed when it was just burgeoning. But now it has assumed international status, you know, affiliating with ISIL, Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb and all these things. So the question is, which of the Boko Haram do you want to negotiate with? Because now you talk about Shekau having been dead and all that and all that. You see, don't forget that there are splinter groups in Boko Haram right now. So when you say you want to negotiate with the Boko Haram, the other day you say Shekau was dead, and Shekau came out to say, look, I'm not dead, I'm still alive. Now, if there is another leader in Boko Haram, like the Chadian president has said, now you ask yourself the question, which of the Boko Haram that government wants to discuss with? Let's even assume that we can identify a leader of a Boko Haram. What are the things you are going to put on the table to discuss with Boko Haram? Are you going to be able to meet their needs, which we all know that they are unattainable, and there is no reasonable government can meet the needs of Boko Haram? What would be the subject of negotiation?
Well, that's really interesting. Well, there's no doubt that the Nigerian Army is cracking down seriously on the group, but it seems the group is also escalating its attacks. I mean, we hear of attacks almost daily in the northeast. What could be responsible for this? Well,
that's simple, because we can see a group that is very, very pummel, a group that is distressed, a group that is very desperate because they have been so much, there is so much heat on them. But the present military, I think I have confidence in it, because the body language of the leader is actually giving them the a kind of, the inspiration to go out and war against Boko Haram. And the heat is so much being felt by Boko Haram element that they are now making desperate moves by attacking, doing everything. But don't forget, like I said, we have to, we have to explore other avenues if we want to actually exterminate Boko Haram from, like exterminating Boko Haram, really, we may not be able to do that, because the only thing we can do is to make sure that they do not have the capacity of coming to seize territory and hoisting their flags anymore and carrying away our girls or boys or whoever. That may not be possible. But sporadic attack, guerrilla tactics here and there, you may not be able to eliminate that in a very long time.
Well, Dr. Femi Adegbolu, thank you so much for coming on Network Africa.
Thanks for having me.
Now, still talking security, but this time in Kenya, the police have named 3 men, it says, that the major recruiters of young Kenyans to Islamist terror groups, especially Somalia's Al-Shabaab. Reports say all 3 men were operating in Kenya, but are now based in Somalia. One is believed to have helped plan the 2013 Westgate shopping center attack in Nairobi. The 2 others are clerics. The report also says young Kenyans from around the country are being targeted without the knowledge of their parents. Still to come on Network Africa. South Africa's Justice Department says it is considering intervening to prevent Oscar Pistorius' early release from prison. Please stay with us.